Good evening, Fred. I'm saying that we are going to be with you the whole day, and I'm very glad to be here with you in the city of London. I think it was here many years back that the idea of globalization took place. It was the Britishers who took on them a job to modernize the whole world. They went virtually every part of the world. They had, played their role in bringing new technologies to various developing countries. And they were the people who really got in minds of people that there could be one world. It used to be said that the Union Jack did not see a sunset because it was being flown world over. While people of the world loved British people, they loved the British language, they loved the culture of British people, they start slowly hating the flag of Britain, the Union Jack, and they also start hating the religion which was being pushed in their cultures. So while they did a great job for more than 200 years, that job could not be appreciated because of attachment of religion and the government involvement in that. So first thing we have to think in Global Citizen Forum is that how can we free ourselves with the religious leaders and political leaders? Was the religious leaders and the political leaders who, in their own wisdom, has to spread their message in their own way. Everybody likes his own freedom, and as such, the freedom of religion and freedom to be a free nation is a prerequisite for any society to develop. And that's where the Global Citizen Forum does not have to make that mistake, that they fall for nationality or for religion. We saw in the history, if you see, that it was Second World War which brought the major change in the world. The highest amount of violence which can ever be thought of was done during that time of 5 to 7 years. And it saw an emergence of a new power. It saw emergence of USA, a country which not only had the desire to bring human rights for the people, but brought a lot of imaginations in the mind of youth how to live their life. The America became something which we all look forward to, how to shape, how to be like, and that's what kept happening till last, I would say, up to the end of this millennium. Today, I don't think as I go around the world that people do appreciate the America, their thought process and their policy of dividing the world into good and bad. You cannot say that this part of the world is good, this part of the world is bad, this country is good, this country is bad. And I think again, the world is looking for a new change because this division of good and bad has created a human society so much torn apart that today we have not only religious division, we have political division. And this is again something which is hurting the society world over and required to be changed. I think as the millennium was approaching, because United Nations, when it was formed after the Second World War, it was considered to be the place where the peace would be thought of and peace will be practiced and peace will be brought around the world. But we found that that was not happening. And I, at that time, was living in New York, and I was very much involved in United Nations work. And that was the time I met Ted Turner. Ted Turner at that time had just started CNN, and that was the first 24/7 news channel worldwide. And he realized after the channel he put on that the amount of people getting killed all over the world is like nobody could thought of. And he brought that to the homes of the people. By year 2000, more than 30 million people have been killed in various wars and still getting killed all the time. And when the media brought that to the homes of people, people realized that how much killing is taking place. So in 97, when people were thinking a new millennium is coming, a thought process started. Maybe the new millennium should start with a new start. We at that time approached Kofi Annan. We were 4 or 5 of us. One of the Hindujas were also with us at that time also. And year 2000, we created a conference which was held at United Nations, which was called Millennium Summit of Spiritual and Religious Leaders. Kofi Annan thought that political leaders cannot find solutions, so let's invite the religious and spiritual leaders, and maybe they have something to offer. There was a big conference. It was a 4-day conference. We had more than 400 religious leaders and 2,000 people who collected in United Nations. At this conference, at the end of the conference, we resolved that all religions should respect each other. They should not convert people from one religion to another. And they should have their boundaries. And let's build a respectful society as far as the religion is concerned, so that that is not the cause for violence. Sorry to say, 4 days later, after a big ad was put on New York Times with everybody's signature, the Vatican City said, we don't believe in this. It is our right to make people move forward, and if somebody wants to convert, who are you to stop it? The thing didn't move forward. It was, we could not have another seminar after that. People start talking of 2012 as predicted as the doomsday. The movie 2012 came when people thought that the whole world will doom and a new world will start. Fortunately, we are all alive. It's 2013, so we have passed that doomsday. But I think it was not predicted that it will be a doomsday. It was predicted that the old culture will go out and a new culture will emerge. A new culture which is today being projected through technology. It's a Facebook, Google culture. It's a culture where people are not connected by traveling or this, they're connecting through internet. They're connecting through mobile, internet, and internet. It's a culture where more than 100 crores people, 10 billion people are today connected through Facebook. It's a culture where youth today is not at all worried who their friends are, from which country they come, which religion they belong. They rather have friends than their families to advise what to do. I have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, and I think and you all have your children, they listen to their friends, and why not? Because they feel that their friends are the one who will guide them better than their parents. It's their friends who will guide them better than the politician. It's the friends who will guide them better than the religious leaders. So they have virtually discarded the old culture of leaders who are coming from different fields, and they have their own culture which they are creating through this friendship mode. So it was in 2013 beginning, this idea of one world started. In 2000, we were talking of one God. In 2013, we are talking towards one world. When we talk of one world, you have to see the variety which exists in the world today. And I think London city is very much something which you can see it in actual practice. You go on the streets of London and you see the whole world here. This is the number one global city, I think, in the world. People are defining global city as something where more than 50% of the people which live there do not belong to that city. And that number is not going more than 50 to 75. There are cities like this world over. You have Singapore, which has more than 70% of the people who do not belong to Singapore. You have Hong Kong, you have cities like New York. So these cities are now coming up, which are totally global in their nature, where the inhabitants of that city are not from one country or one religion. And these cities have tremendous power base, because these are the headquarters of religious leaders, political leaders, as well as the business leaders, and also the professionals of the world, and also the media of the world. So when you connect this global city, you connect the world. When we talk of one, United Nations was created, they connected the political leaders of the world, and they said they can connect the world. When we did the One God thing, the Millennium Summit, we thought we'll connect the religious leaders of the world, and then we'll connect the world. But I think that doesn't happen. What you need now is to connect the global cities. Once you connect the global cities, then you can connect the world, because these cities are global by nature, by themselves. It has to be a people movement. It has to be something which is not the leaders' movement, but a people's movement. Once it is a people's movement, the leaders will emerge from the people. And it is not something which I am doing alone, or we are doing alone. It is something which is a thought process which is going in a lot of people's mind. When we did a program in China, there was a lady called Stella Lee. She runs one of the largest corporations there called BYD. And her feeling was that China is ready for being part of a global citizen forum. And the reason she felt that was that they are more global than, in her mind, than even the Americans. It was very difficult for me to understand initially, because we feel that China is something isolated, because we don't understand that country. We don't understand the vision of that country. We don't understand the desire of the people of that country. And when we had a session there was a very simple question asked, and I like to repeat that here. This lady said that I was in Boston, and this killing took place in Boston. There was a blast which took in that marathon in Boston. And she had just come back from Boston. And she said, what is the global citizen view for such events? Now, naturally, it was a provoking question, and she has something in mind while she asked it. And I could see that. The reason these things are happening is what is more important and why they are happening. It's the root cause. It's the cause where the Islamic population of the country, of the world, is being not properly dealt with. It is the military power by which the Middle East is being ruled today. More than 200,000 US soldiers are sitting in Middle East today. There's a reaction towards that. There's a freedom. There's a different kind of colonization taking place now. There's a different kind of, same talk of, I know the best. We will decide what is good or bad. We will decide who is good or bad. We will decide who does right or bad. Now, if you start putting that things, then there's a reaction. And then there's a big cry. Okay, people die, innocent people die. It's a big cry. But even soldiers die, there should be a big cry. After they are also people. What's the difference between a soldier and a person on the street? Just because he's a soldier, he can die, and there won't be anything for him. Is he not a human being? Is he not a person who desires to live? Just because he has to fly a flag or he has to fight for the flag, he is made to die. And that's okay. That's good. I think violence of any form has to be eradicated. And it's the political divisions of the world, which is not natural. This world is one. There's nothing like who has decided. Now we are living in a world where everything is on satellite. We have a Google, what you call map, which all of you have on your phone. So in this world where technology has so much advanced, where are these boundaries? Who are these boundaries? And I was looking at, a pregnant woman here in this red dress. Her husband is going to speak. She has a baby. The baby does not know she is a boy or girl. She or he won't even know that till she or he is 6 to 8 months or something more. Is later on he's told, oh, you're a boy, you're a girl. There's no gender in the mind of a baby when he's born. The girl and boy is not defined by him. It's the body he gets. Just because he gets a a female body or male body, his future should be different. That's where the big difference in China has happened. When they said you can only have one child. Now it was started to control population, but it has brought social change. Because one child means what? The child can be man or woman. There's no difference. So this differentiation between the gender is the biggest caste system in the world today. This is the biggest deviation which is there. Now, how do you change this? We all know that, I see a lot of people agreeing, but agreeing doesn't mean anything. How do you change this? We have very distinguished people who have changed things. I was talking to Mr. Mehta. He brought stock exchange reform in the country. Now, how do you bring a reform? By changing the law. How did Abraham Lincoln brought the reform of equality among the slaves? By putting a legislation, by changing the law. Today, the world is working under certain laws. Those laws are taken as granted. The young people don't even are asked to give their opinions whether this law is right or not. They have to live with it. And being a good citizen, you have to follow the law. That's what is required. But people who know, who have traveled world over, knows that laws are different in different countries. In China, there is a law that there was a city called Shenzhen, which is next to Hong Kong. It's a twin city. Hong Kong people can travel to Shenzhen. Shenzhen people cannot travel to Hong Kong. So I had a young guy coming to me and he said, look, I have a dream that I want to walk on the street of Hong Kong because he has heard so much about Hong Kong. And I want to take my girlfriend to a particular restaurant in Hong Kong. Now this dream he's having for 8 years. He has not able to fulfill. He's 29. He had this dream from 21. But he can't go to Hong Kong. So when we had this forum of GCF there, this question was raised. And we did a benchmark. Similarly, there's Singapore and there's Malaysia. The Malaysian people can travel without visas, at least for 30 days, to Singapore without any problem. It's a twin city. You can drive down. Why not between Shenzhen and Hong Kong? So this is called, what we are saying is benchmarking, seeing best practices. Mr. Hinduja is from business family. He knows that in business, the best way to work is through benchmarking and best practice. What about the laws? And GCF will try to research laws which are best practiced in various countries and bring them to knowledge. Because the change can only come if the laws get changed. Without the change of laws, you can't change the society. Without the change of laws, you can't do it. In India, I come from India, from business family. I have 3 children, 1 daughter, 1 son, and then another daughter. When my younger daughter was 18, she asked me that, will I have the same heritage as my brother? My brother tells me that I'm not going to, I'm the boy, I'm the son, your daughter. So you're not going to have the same thing. I was at that time working very closely with the government, and it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee's ministry. And I brought this to the knowledge of Hindu law. And we said this law should be changed. The boys and girls should have equal rights. We started in 99, 2006 the law got changed. My daughter by that time, who was already grown to 23, 24, she realized that now she is equal than my son. She said, now I'll study more. She went to US, finished her CFA, did her Master of Accounts, and came back, still realized she's not as capable than her brother in her mind, doing an MBA from Chicago. And both the Hindujas met them today on a morning walk. And she is now a different girl. Why? Because of the change of the law. So what we need in GCF, ladies and gentlemen, is to look at laws of every country and see which laws can be changed to bring empowerment to the youth, empowerment to the women, empowerment to the children. And I think in this, the women have to play a very, very major role. We want more women on the room. In fact, I told Mr. Olenga when he was saying this, we said we reserved 50% of the membership to the women. He said, what happened if they become 51? Already in his mind, he's thinking, let the women not dominate. He never said, what happened if they are 49? Am I right? You're right. So I think this mind change has to be changed. And all of you, I'm here, are ready to bring that change in mind. You are going to be change agents. And we need each one of you, because that's why you're here. You are global citizen. The day you decided, you are here. Somebody who asked me, who is global citizen? I said, who defined himself that he is global citizen. Not anybody define your life. Not anybody define yourself. You define what you are yourself. If you say you are a global citizen, nobody can tell you you're not. You have full right to define yourself. You have full right to lead your life as you want to live. You have full right to make changes where you think it's not right. And if the country doesn't change, you have a right to change that country and live somewhere else. So that's why a lot of people don't want to live where they live, where they are born. They choose the countries to live. And that's the biggest immigration taking place world over. They want to do away where they want to go. This city, this country, has the biggest migration in the past. And nobody stopped them. Nobody told them you're not welcome. Now there are migration laws where people are said you're not welcome. Now who are they to say you're not welcome? Anybody, every human being should be free to go where he likes. Every human being should be free to go where he wants to stay. This is a myth there that they open the door, everybody like to live in London. As if this is a golden city, you know. Even in golden city, not everybody likes to live. There is a freedom, there is a ownership of the whole planet belongs to all human beings. And it is their fundamental right. And as such, this fundamental right should be accepted, and GCF will fight for it. Thank you very much.